participants, human rights defenders, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by expressing my deep respect and admiration for the global community of human rights defenders and democracy advocates, and for all your efforts during the last turbulent months. There are few places where our support is more crucial right now than in Belarus. Norway condemns the brutal clampdown by the authorities to silence the legitimate demands of the people of Belarus. Their courageous and inspiring cause for change, democracy and human rights compel us all to offer the best support we can. Norway is committed to doing so. At last year's meeting, the Norwegian foreign minister commented on the progress that human rights defenders have made in different areas as a result of dedicated efforts over many years, sometimes in collaboration with governments, but often in the face of stiff resistance. She touched upon the global reach of your movement, your increased effectiveness, and the improved protection in law and access to remedy. The Norwegian-led resolutions in Geneva and New York have also shown that there is a broad support for a stronger normative framework to protect human rights defenders. The fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic is still presenting us with serious challenges, and I think it's safe to say that we are not done yet. We have seen many examples of citizens and authorities rallying to protect public health, preserve jobs and social fabric, and safeguard political institutions. This is very encouraging. At the same time, we have also seen how vulnerable fundamental human rights and democratic principles are in times of uncertainty and crisis. The pandemic is exacerbating the existing negative trend of shrinking space for civil society. Peaceful protesters face restrictions and also heavy-handed clampdowns. The pandemic has been used as a pretext for increasing government control at the expense of rule of law and the separation of the powers. We have also seen targeted measures to silence critical voices, limiting freedom of expression and opinion. Access to information is also being restricted, often motivated by an increase in disinformation and misinformation related to the pandemic. Human rights defenders are particularly vulnerable at a time when physical meetings and travel are more difficult to carry out. Furthermore, the pandemic is having an uneven impact, affecting some people's lives far more than others. The consequences are often worse for minorities whose communities are already dealing with marginalization and discrimination. One of the many groups that the Norwegian government has a particular focus on is the LGBTI community. We find it especially worrying when European countries such as Poland introduce measures that limit fundamental rights based on sexual orientation or gender identity. The Norwegian government is concerned about attempts to roll back advances in sexual and reproductive health and rights, including by the United States. This seriously hampers our efforts to combat violence against women, one of the most widespread and persistent human rights violations globally. It is very discouraging to hear that Poland and Turkey may consider withdrawing from the Istanbul Convention, and in Hungary's case, not ratifying. This could not have come at the worst time, given the alarming increase in domestic violence and abuse during the pandemic lockdowns. In this situation, we must rally our defenses to protect the rules-based world order and the multilateral cooperation based on respect for the dignity and equal rights of all, without discrimination, and where countries are held accountable. This is crucial to Norway, and we will, of course, keep working with civil society organizations and defenders on the ground. We will continue to follow up this issue at the UN, including when we join the UN Security Council in January. Human rights will remain the central element in our bilateral engagement with all countries, including China. Norway has expressed concern about the human rights situation for Uyghurs and other minorities in Xinjiang, as well as about legislation restricting civil and political rights and democratic space in Hong Kong. The COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted how important multilateral cooperation is. It is a timely reminder that the multilateral system and the obligations it entails must also serve those who stand up for human rights. I am confident that this year's Oslo Freedom Forum will be an inspiring event, and I hope it will allow you to explore new ways to do your work despite the current situation. I wish you all the best in your continued efforts to protect and promote human rights. Thank you.